What is up, everybody, and welcome into episode 12 of Weathering the Storm. I am your host, Dakota Wolf, and today we got a lot to go over. It's been a minute since we done one of these just solo. We had B Nash from Footballs to the Wall last week. Hope you all enjoyed that collab, and then a week before that we had Max Holbrook from UFL Storm Center. So we had 2 straight weeks of collabs. It's been about 3 weeks since we've done a normal podcast episode. Hope y'all enjoyed both of those videos. Um, but yeah, let's get back to what's normal, I guess, for the show. Just me and you, everyone watching. And I can't wait. We're gonna get into a lot. We're getting into the jerseys. We're getting into some betting odds. We're getting into the rule changes, some themed games, the league expansions, and fantasy football rumors. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Um, so, we'll go ahead and start with the most pressing topic right now in the UFL fandom. Um, Probably the most toxically talked about topic right now in the UFL fandom. And that is the jersey reels. But I guess real quick, I just want to prelude that by I'll put up the image here, the tweet that they put out, the UFL did, of the league partners, and that would be New Era, No Bull, which is affiliated with Micropoli, so that's no surprise, and Adidas. So New Era is going to be the official jersey and headwear partner. Adidas is going to be the official footwear partner. So for the cleats, and No Bull will be the exclusive training footwear partner. And if you see the jerseys, it'll be very apparent that New Era and No Bull are heavily incorporated with the league, as they're both featured prominently on every jersey out there. So with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and get into the Orlando Storm jerseys. Here they are. I'll go ahead and put them up on the screen. And we'll start with the home jerseys. So obviously they got the black or whatever, the really dark blue. I think it's black. The only reason it's even somewhat debatable is because if you put them side by side with the Houston Gamblers, the Gamblers definitely have a darker black than we do. But otherwise, I mean, I'm not really sure what I can say. They're a black jersey. They have the orange numbers and the purple outlines. Then we have on the sleeves, it's kind of reminiscent of like a hurricane or the weather radar depiction of a hurricane or a tropical storm. Um, you have the black pants. It does say the storm up above the numbers and the O with the hurricane O. I really love that. It's just like such a small detail, but I love that they're doing that. And yeah, and then you have the helmets and it says storm on the back. I mean, not really much else to get into. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward jersey. It's simple. Um, but that being said, I like them. Like I think they are nice looking jerseys. And again, we're the Orlando Storm. This is a dark vibe, right? So even though we have some bright and dynamic colors, I'm not getting on the bandwagon. And again, maybe I'm just a homer. I'm just rooting for my own team, and I can't see past my own bias. I don't think that's what it is. I genuinely think if I was a fan of another team, I would still like these jerseys. I think the hate for them has been overblown, like through the roof. I don't understand it whatsoever. I just don't get it. Um, but people were disappointed they didn't get a purple jersey. They didn't get a bright, colorful jersey. The team name is the Storm. It's a dark vibe. A storm is dark. It is a dark gray. Like the clouds are dark. And a hurricane, which is the storm that they're kind of going for, is a dark, menacing, like brutal thing. Like I just that's kind of the understanding that I get from it. They're going for the darker vibe, and both of these colors. Well, I guess I can understand the purple doesn't really pop off very well on the black, but you can still tell it's there. Like it's a good accent, and then the orange pops off really well. So Again, do I think they're the best jersey in the league? No, I don't. But do I think they're the worst or even close to it? No, I also don't think they're the worst jerseys. And I like them a lot. Um, so my only nitpick on the home jerseys would be um, I don't love the helmets that much. You could have done like a stripe down the middle, or again did something different with the face mask, or just did something other than just a plain matte black helmet with a logo on the side. But honestly, it seems like more people have been gravitating towards the away jerseys, which I can kind of understand. Like the colors, they pop off a little bit more. Um, but it just drives me even more crazy. I think it makes me feel like I'm insane because I like the home jerseys so much more. The away jerseys are still clean, and I do like that they went with Orlando across the middle. A couple other jerseys went for abbreviated versions. I didn't like those. They kind of just looked tacky. Like the letters didn't take up enough space on the torso of the jersey. But so I'm glad they went with Orlando, and not only they went with Orlando, they gave the Hurricane O. It's such a small detail, but I think it's like little things like that people are completely dismissing. They're not even acknowledging it with the Orlando Storm jerseys. Um, so that being said, I like the home jerseys better in general, and kind of the nail in the coffin for the away jerseys with me is the helmet. I don't like the black helmet with the all white jerseys. Maybe they're under like budget, budget restrictions, so they can't come up with two different color helmets. But I think a white helmet would have looked so much better, or maybe a purple helmet. I don't know, like something. Um, so with the helmet combined, I guess that's kind of really what's pushing it over the edge for me. Um, I'm going. I like the home jerseys better, and just that helmet with the away jerseys kind of knocks off a decent amount of points for me in general. But that being said, I still think they're really clean. I still think they're really nice jerseys, and I think they're going to look really good on the actual players. So I don't get the hate. I don't understand it. I don't think they're bad at all. Um, Again, I don't think they're towards the top of the league in terms of the jerseys, but I still think they're good. Like I still think they're good jerseys, and I'm happy with them. If they wanted to give it more personality, I've mentioned it before, but they could have done a purple helmet, and they could have maybe incorporated the purple a little bit more somehow, some way. Um, like I've said it before, I'm not cool with a Barney purple jersey. I don't think it would look good. Maybe I could be wrong, but obviously we won't know that because they didn't go with it. So like this color of purple, I wouldn't have liked that on a jersey. I just wouldn't have. Um, Maybe they could have paired it with some black pants, a purple jersey, black pants. I don't know. Either way, I'm kind of talking in circles here. I like the jerseys. I like the sleeves. I like that they put the purple behind the numbers. I like the font of the numbers. I love the font of the name, of Storm and Orlando on both jerseys. I think they did both of them really well, and I like that they did the Hurricane O for both of them. It's such a small touch, but I love it. The main knock on them for me is the helmets. I just think they're a little boring. They didn't do enough. It's just a logo on a matte black helmet. They could have did a little bit more there. But the black does not offend me at all. Like I've said before, it's a storm. They're going for a darker vibe. It makes perfect sense. But for a lot of people, for some reason, it doesn't make sense. They want purple and orange. I don't know. I couldn't disagree more with that sentiment. I understand it. I disagree with it completely. Um, I love the jerseys. Not in any way am I disappointed by them, other than maybe the helmets. And again, they didn't do a good job of revealing these on the little 15-second video. It's hard to see if there's stripes on the pants or not. If there are, I think that's even better. If there's not, I think that's a little bit worse. Plain black pants would be another detraction for me if that is true. When I was kind of pausing the video, it kind of looked like they had orange stripes, but I couldn't tell. It wasn't. I didn't get a good look at it. So in general, I have a positive opinion of them. If I were to give it a grade, I would probably give it like an 8 out of 10. Um, I like them. They're not my favorite in the league, but I think they're way better than the overall common consensus. To me, my main gripe with everyone else's opinion is I just don't put these in the same class as the Birmingham Stallions. I just don't. I don't think they're a train wreck, and that's where most people I'm seeing discussing this online. Again, this is all subjective; it's personal opinion. You see how they look, and you make your own opinion on it. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I just happen to disagree with the overwhelming popular opinion that these are at the bottom of the league. I just that kind of insinuates that they're a train wreck and that they were horrible. I just don't see that. I think at the very baseline, they're mid. They're mediocre. Um, but even then, I think they're a little bit above that. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I let me know what you guys think. I really I have a feeling I know what you guys might think, but again, I think the Storm fan base is a little more accepting of them, at least for the most part. But I like them. The away jerseys lose points because of the helmet doesn't match. I think a white helmet makes that better. But let me know what you guys think. Would you all like to have seen the Barney purple or the all orange? Listen, the Barney purple maybe. I cannot talk myself into an all orange jersey. So if you disagree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm sure most of you do. Then again, most of the fan base is Storm fans, so maybe not. But that is my opinion on it. I'm just like blown away at how many people just absolutely hate the Storm jerseys. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I said what I said. Let me know what you guys think below. I would love to hear it, and I'd love to argue with you about our opinions in the comment section below. Let's go ahead and get into the next news. So, honestly, with this jersey rollout being so negative, and then this other news, I think it came out right before it. It was like a whole week of like negative news for the Orlando Storm fans. Like, I don't know why it was so bad all the way around. Again, it didn't affect me too much because I love the jerseys, but just seeing everyone have such a negative reaction about them and then having this news paired like right before it, it's like, man, can we get a break, please? Like the season hasn't even started yet, but in that news was the betting odds. So the score bet dropped their their lines. Um, and we'll get into the first one here, which was broke by United Football Media on Twitter, the underscore UFM. And he said, we have our first look at UFL 2026 championship odds courtesy of at the score bet. The Orlando Storm have the longest, so the worst odds, while the Birmingham Stallions have the best odds to win it all. Who are we taking? And then I'll put the image up here. You can see you have the Birmingham Stallions at plus 350. So I think the way it works, I'm not 100% for sure, but I think if you bet, so if it's plus 350, you bet $100, you win 350 back if that were to happen. So if I bet $100 on the Stallions to win the championship, that would net me 350 back. Um, Renegades next, plus 375. Defenders, plus 400. Aviators, plus 475. That one kind of shocked me. Battlehawks, plus 550. No offense, Aviators. I mean, honestly, like, just being upfront, I don't know much about the talent level of these rosters in general, but just that it was a new team with a new coach, and like I just wasn't expecting them to be up that high. Um, Battlehawks at 550, the Gamblers at 1100, the Kings at 1600, and at the dead last bottom, if you bet $100 on the Orlando Storm to win it all, you would get back $2,200. Your boy might be putting some money on this because honestly, I don't know how in the world anyone could come up with these odds at this point. There must be a lot of people who know a lot more than me because I have no earthly idea how you could come to the conclusion that the Orlando Storm are plus 2,200. Like, I thought they would all be pretty close just because there's not a lot of information out, completely new rosters, but apparently someone's doing their homework or they're just coming up with numbers because they got the Orlando Storm pretty far down the list, like looking like heavy underdogs. So it's a little concerning for me because Vegas usually knows what they're talking about. Um, but that just seems unrealistic to me that they have that much knowledge to know that we're going to be that bad or they think that we're going to be that bad. I mean, based on these odds, they're saying we're going to be the worst team in the league. That's basically what that means. They think we're the worst team in the league, or at the very least have the least likely chance of winning the championship. Now you could factor in the fact Anthony Beck doesn't get to win a playoff game. Maybe they think we'll be good, but we just don't have any chance to win in the playoffs. I don't know. Um, Either way, it just obviously like I want to disagree with it, but I got to look into all these other rosters and start doing some research. And this is honestly motivating me to do that even more because, like, what in the world? Like, to me, it's like, really? Are we really doing this? And the discrepancy is that wide. Um, it's a rough week for Storm fans looking at all this, but um, and that'll lead me into this next this next tweet from United Football Media, and I'll go ahead and shout him out to. Give me a second, my lord. Brandon UFM, so at Brandon UFM on Twitter, does a lot of coverage for the Orlando Storm on Twitter. Um, he tweeted out the disrespect continues for the Orlando Storm. 7.5 point underdogs at home. And yeah, that is correct. And I'll put it up here. For the home opener against the Columbus Aviators, the Orlando Storm are 7.5 point underdogs. So basically, again, I'll explain this for anyone who doesn't know how spreads work. Um, Vegas or the score bet, the people running these lines right now, are predicting that the Orlando Storm will lose this game by at least 7 points. So if you were to bet this spread, you would basically, if you were betting in favor of the Storm, you would be betting that not that they would win the game, but that they would avoid losing by more than 7 points. So if you're betting in favor of the Orlando Storm and you're betting the spread, you're just betting that they avoid losing by more than 7. And 7.5 is a pretty decent spread. It's not crazy, but it's the biggest spread of any of the week 1 games. And vice versa, if you were betting for the Aviators, you would have to bet them to win by at least 7 points. Or honestly, I think 8, 7.5. I'm not like too well versed in sports betting, but um, so, and it's pretty similar odds there. So that's crazy to me. Again, I just don't understand where they're getting this, where they have this knowledge from. But either way, like, as a fan, I wouldn't put too much weight into it. It is just interesting to talk about and look at. But I can't say I wouldn't be, like, for me, I'm not at least a tiny bit worried. It's just weird because I'm like, it makes me curious. Like, where is this knowledge coming from? Like, where did you all like they're obviously not just pulling it out of thin air, right? I would think not, but um, it's just odd, and it's obviously like to me, it's like it's not a good sign, but at the same time, don't put too much weight into it. Don't be like, oh well, the season's over. Vegas said it was over, so it's over. But it is just it's not nice to see, right? Like you would prefer us at least somewhat, even if we're at the bottom, at least closer to the middle. Um, Preferably at the top. But like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's just interesting to look at and something to keep in mind, I guess. But uh, yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more research on all these other rosters because apparently we are so much worse. According to Vegas, we are so much worse than them. But that's crazy to me. I don't see it. But like I said, I'll do some more research, um, and I'll see if the discrepancy is really that big. Cause it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. But with both of those things out of the way, we'll go ahead and get into some rule changes that were mentioned by the league previously. And just to real quick, um, you can't putt past the 50-yard line now. So if you're in that kind of like no man's land, right between like 50 and like I guess like 40, that's where it's kind of like awkward to punt. They're pretty much getting rid of that now, which I think you already couldn't coffin corner punt anyways. So I don't think that's a big deal. Um, and then the other rule was 60 plus yard field goals are now worth 4 points. That might seem like a small change, but that is honestly, that could dynamically shift so many games. 4 point, like, for one, that 1 point, like, that changes so many different scenarios, specifically at the end of games and clutch situations where you've seen in football leagues before, if the team is down 4 points instead of 3, that now means they have to drive the length of the field and get a touchdown no matter what. There's no avoiding it. There's no in between. You have to get the touchdown. It's either 3 points or 6 points. There's no way to get in between that. You have to get a touchdown. This now obviously changes that. So it'll be interesting to see if a team is down by 3 and they get to that range, if they just decide not to go for it and try to get closer to get a field goal and tie it, um, or at the very least try to get a touchdown and win it, or if they will settle for a 60 plus yard field goal and try to get 4 points, or if this will just be relegated to you have no other choice. You're like there's 5 seconds left on the clock, and your only choice is a Hail Mary or a 60 plus yard field goal. Um, so it will be interesting to see how teams utilize that. And I'm all for making the kicker more impactful on a game. I know certain people have strong opinions about kickers and don't really like them, but I'm all for giving them another tool to have an impact on the game. So I'm a fan of that. Let me know what you guys think below. Um, yeah, those are the only two rule changes that I was made aware of. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and move forward into the next topic that I have listed here, and that is the UFL League expansion. So I'll just put up the tweet from Mike Rapoli. There's not really a lot into it, just the tweet that he put out, so I thought I'd mention it. We are gearing up for 2026. Do not bet against the UFL. 8 teams, 8 great markets. I mean, dude, the way you keep talking about Birmingham, I don't know if you like them as a market that much. But listen, I like Birmingham. I think they're a good market. I think they should stay. I would hate to see them go, but I don't know, Rapoli. I don't know if he hates them or if he loves them. It's like like you're like the best friend is the one you screw around with the most and say the most rude things to. So maybe it's that. I hope it's that, dude. But I don't know, man. Anyways, 8 teams, 8 great markets. In 2028, we expand with 2 new teams. So where should we go next? Um, Now, obviously, I don't have a lot of coverage previously with the UFL or anything like that, but I think Seattle is like a really safe pick. I see that one being called for all the time. The Seattle Sea Dragons, and then New York. I think that would be another safe pick to go back to. Um, my only problem with those two is I'm personally a big fan of entering markets that don't have many pro teams, um, at least pro football teams anymore. So Seattle has the Seahawks already in the NFL, and then New York obviously has the Jets and the Giants that both suck. So um, I would like to see some sort of market. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I'd like to see a market that maybe doesn't have a pro team, like similar to the Louisville Cardinals. Like they don't have one, and I think their fans are really excited for that team. So I think that would be something interesting to look into. But just to name those two off the top of my head, the Seattle Dragons and the New York. I know they had the Guardians before. I think those would be interesting teams to bring back. But let me know what you guys think. I know, again, I'll shout them out again. I have multiple times before, but the Defending Football Show has put out a great video touching on this topic um, a long time ago. So go check out that video if you're really interested in that. But yeah, Micropoli is looking to expand this league even further in 2028. Um, Great news. I hope it works out. So not only will the league, hopefully not be shuttering, but we'll be expanding more and more in the future. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Um, really hope that happens. Would be really great for the league. But with that, we'll go into another Micropoli tweet about the league, and that is the UFL Fantasy Football. So I'll just read out the tweet here. I'm getting a lot of requests for UFL Fantasy Football. My concern was, how can you have a UFL Fantasy Football League with only 8 teams? And that is honestly a really great point and one that I hadn't really considered. Um, with the NFL, you have fantasy football, usually 8 teams, 8 player drafted teams in your league, at least 8. And you have 32 teams full of players to draft from. Um, so with the UFL, you only have 8 teams. So, for example, 8 starting quarterbacks. If you have 8 teams in your fantasy football league, you're going to be drafting every quarterback available. And there's always in every league, every fantasy football league I've ever been in, there's always some goofball in the first, second, third round drafts 3 straight quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds. or drafts like three defenses by the sixth round, or some crazy nonsense, and just screws up the whole the whole flow of the draft and the whole league, and like it balances everything horribly. Um, so if you did that with a UFO fantasy football league, it would just make it 10 times worse. I'm sure there's ways to work around it. You can set caps, so you can only draft one quarterback, and then you have to pick up another one in free agency or something. Um, but I think there's ways to make it work for sure. But he said, yeah, is it possible to do with only 8 teams? And are you guys looking more for a fantasy league similar to ESPN or like DraftKings? So ESPN has a setup where you draft your own team. You're in a league with however many other people, and you play out a regular season and a playoffs like a normal football season. Where DraftKings is just you draft a team um, for 1 week, and you compete against other like thousands of other people who have also drafted their team for that week, and whoever is, I think, like if you're in the top 500 in terms of points for that week, you get a reward, and if you're the number one, obviously you get a better reward, and number two, you get it slightly less, and so on and so forth. For me, I don't like DraftKings at all. Maybe that's only because I've lost money on it and I can never win anything. I don't know who is coming up with these lineups, but these people, I can never. I think I've gotten $1 back, maybe, but regardless, I'm just not as much of a fan of that format as I am a regular. Like you draft your own team, you play a full season, you make the playoffs, you win a championship. That is a lot more interesting than just setting a lineup and then being done with that lineup by the next week. Um, so yeah, I would go with the ESPN fantasy format. Maybe you cap the limit so only 6 users can be in a league, or maybe you can just play with it. So like in a normal NFL fantasy draft, you can have you usually have two quarterbacks. You can obviously have more on your bench. Like I said, people will draft like three or four of them. Like it's commonplace to have two. So you can force that. So you can only have one starter, and you have to wait before you can draft another one. Um, I don't know. Just play around with it. You can have like two wide receivers, two running backs, and a flex, which can be a tight end, wide receiver, or running back. So you can change it so you only have one wide receiver and one running back and one tight end. You can change it around and work with it however you need to. But regardless, I think you can make it work, and it would be amazing. I think it would bring more interest into the league, and I think for fans of the league already, it's another fun way to keep involved with it. So I don't really see any downside to it. I'm sure there's some costs to incorporating that with ESPN or whatever, but um, I think it's an amazing idea, and they should definitely look into doing it. I think there would be a lot of fan interest from UFL fans. So if they're doing it, I think it would be a great idea, and I would definitely start up a league, and we could do a little Orlando Storm podcast league. I would love to do something like that. That would be awesome. But the last piece of news I have to touch on, and this is more specific to the Orlando Storm, is theme games, and this is a really cool idea. Well, I do have kind of mixed opinions about it, but in general, this is a really cool idea, and I'll put up the themes here on the screen. But so for week one against the Columbus Aviators, we have the 407 kickoff, and each week will have its own giveaway. So for this giveaway, they're giving away an orange Orlando Storm T-shirt. So, and I believe it's the first 5,000 fans. It doesn't say on this graphic, but I could have swore I saw that somewhere. So make sure you get there early. You get the reward. So 407 kickoff for kickoff week, and then the next week the theme is united by giving. So they're giving away clear totes for everyone, and then that will be against the Louisville Kings. The next week will be the Storm School Spirit Showcase. They're giving away white T-shirts, and this will be against the St. Louis Battlehawks on April 25th, 7 p.m. And then the next week will be Junior Storm Day. They're giving away commemorative coins. That'll be against the Birmingham Stallions on May 3rd. And oh, I keep saying next week. Yeah, that's my fault because they're not after, because there's away games in between this. So you get what I mean, but it's not the week after. And then the the best giveaway, and the one that I might not be able to make, of course, they're like starving me of a freaking Orlando Storm hat. I hope I can make it. I should be able to get off work early. It's just gonna be really tough, but It is Hats Off to Heroes, and that giveaway will be a hat, of course. And that is May 22nd against the DC Defenders. So obviously, these are 5 free things that you are going to get. Season tickets are only $50, so $50 for season tickets, and you get 5 free, rewards just for showing up to these games early. So make sure you get there early, and you'll get 5 free things as long as you're at 5 things. So it's a really good deal. $50 for 5 games and also 5 free items. With that, I mean the t-shirts alone could cost you $50, especially if you go buy them on that store. So it's a really good deal. Really love that they're doing that. I did say there's a slight nitpick. That would be, and I understand it because it's a new fan base, so not everyone has the appropriate merch to pull it off. But like for most themed games, like for college, like say with UCF for example, it would be like a blackout or a whiteout or fans choice, which is just wear whatever you want. Or then they have, I'm not expecting them to do this, but UCF has Space U, so everyone wears their Canaveral blue. It's it's not really anything like that. Like we're not doing a blackout. Like the jerseys are black. Like I think a blackout would be pretty cool. You pull up to the stadium and it's blacked out. That would be a pretty cool theme. So like the theme, it seems like it's a lot less tied to the actual game itself. It's more so just for the fans to have something else to be excited about, which is fine. But I would have liked if, maybe they gave some opinion on for the fans to like wear something specific. That would have been cool. But like at the same time, like I said, I get it. It's new, so not not enough fans have the merch. Like they don't have a black shirt and an orange shirt and a white shirt. Like it would be kind of harder to pull it off. So I completely get it. But that is my slight nitpick. In general, I'm really happy that the league is doing this because every team is doing it. So I'm glad that the Storm's doing it. I'm glad that the league's doing it. It is a really good idea, and another way to build a fandom. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. We touched on everything, the jersey reveals and the new league partners, New Era, Noble, and Adidas. We went over the betting odds, like just such a rough start for the Orlando fan base, especially if you didn't like those jerseys. Then we went over the rule changes, can't punt past the 50, and 60 plus yard field goals are worth 4 points now. The themed games, like I just mentioned, I won't just go over it again. League expansion in 2028 with 2 new teams, so from 8 to 10 per Micropoli, and a potential UFL fantasy football league. So that's all the news that has happened over the past week or so. Let me know what you guys think. Um, Please comment your thoughts below. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're watching every single video, just subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And I should have thanked you all for that at the beginning of the video. Thank you for 50 subscribers. I think we're actually at 60 now. So a huge thank you to everyone who subscribed so far. A lot of people from the very beginning, or if you're brand new, it doesn't matter. Just thank you. It means a lot. Honestly, when I first started this channel, I had no idea like how far it was gonna go. I really didn't and I had no idea how much work it was gonna be. Like it has been so much more than I thought it was gonna be, and it was just so nerve wracking getting into the space, putting myself out there, on the camera. It's just, but it's been rewarding. Like there have definitely been times where, especially that stretch, you'll look through my videos where it's like 30 views, 30 views, 40 views, whatever. It seems like nobody cares. And I'll look back and the quality just seems bad, and like I'll see things I should have said differently or whatever. It's very easy in this space to get down on yourself and think like, man, I'm not doing good enough. But it's you all that keep tuning in and subscribing and liking and commenting and just giving me the feedback, that keeps me going and that makes this all worth it. Like, I'm not making money off this. I'm not, there's no other incentive here. It's you guys, right? Like, personally, I don't gain much from this other than just getting to sit here and talk, with my community about my thoughts on football, and this team, for an hour every week or so. So, again, big thank you to everyone who supported this thus far. It means a lot. Like, it really does. There's no way I could explain that, in however much time, how much it means. Like it is awesome, and I'm really grateful for each and every one of you. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and end it on that very sappy note. I hope if I ticked you off with the jerseys, with the jersey conversation, you at least stuck around enough to hear that heartfelt thank you. If you're subscribed anyways, if you're watching and you're not subscribed and you keep watching, then it's not for you. Subscribe and then that message will be for you. But just kidding. But not really. Like subscribe. Come on, man. It doesn't cost you anything. Just subscribe, like, it helps me. But whatever. You don't have to. Do whatever you want. Here, it's a free country. But thanks for watching. Thank you for weathering the storm. Go Storm. Surge on.